Do you have low thyroid, and how do you know if you have it? We have Dr. Red here from the Red River Health and Wellness, and he has educated me before on what low thyroid is and what gluten does to you. But what are the symptoms?
Common symptoms will be depression, fatigue, weight gain, hair loss. They'll have intestinal problems, maybe even joint pain. There's so many different symptoms that go along with it.
Gosh, I think a lot of people could say maybe I have one or several of those things.
There's so many symptoms, and the reason why is because most thyroid problems aren't just thyroid problems. They're autoimmune conditions that are causing lots of problems systemically, and so it's not just isolated to the thyroid itself, and that's why so many people suffer with so many different symptoms and problems, for sure.
So when someone comes to you with these symptoms, what do you do?
Well, the biggest thing is there's so many different triggers that will cause the autoimmunity to flare up, so rather than just giving them a pill for the symptoms, our whole goal is to get to the mechanism of why these patients feel the way they feel. It's a lot more difficult than people think, though, because there could be 8 different physiological imbalances along with a couple of dietary and lifestyle triggers that cause it to flare up. So, yeah.
Dr. Red, why are you hearing more about this than we ever have before?
Well, one is exploding over the last 20 years. I think our quality of lives are so poor, or let's say the quality of our food is so poor because they're trying to increase the quantity. And also we live these high-stress lives which cause cortisol defects and estrogen surges. And so between those 3 things, it's causing autoimmunity to explode over the last 20 years.
Are some people more genetically susceptible to these sorts of things?
They are, but they're saying that almost 20% of Americans now have some form of autoimmunity.
20%?
20%.
So kind of big.
It's more prone than heart disease, cancer, and all those things as well. So it's just getting worse and worse and worse over these last 20 years, and part of it is due to our food.
And we just say we feel bad, and we don't know why.
Yeah, and so many patients are going from doctor to doctor feeling terrible, and nobody knows how to actually help improve the autoimmune disease itself, and so these patients still feel little to no improvement, struggling, and really feel like they have no hope or anything there. It's pretty frustrating for these patients.
Dr. Red, you brought some examples of foods that we are eating, and we don't know how much gluten may or may not be in them,
One of the biggest triggers, there's lots of dietary triggers and physiological triggers, but some of one of the top triggers for Hashimoto's and autoimmunity is gluten. And so let's do a quiz. Which one of these have gluten in it?
I know soy does.
The red vines
I would guess the candy.
Candy does.
Okay. Red vines do for sure have gluten in it, contain gluten, and they also have obviously the food coloring, which makes it even worse because it takes longer to absorb. The soy has gluten in it because it's made with fermented gluten. And so soy sauce, if you know for sure you have to be gluten-free, eating soy could be a huge problem. Hot dogs and sausages oftentimes contain meat glue, so look to see if it contains meat glue. If it does,
what is that?
It holds the meat together.
That sounds
like, have
so
you seen some of the ways they make some of this stuff? Yes, that contains gluten.
But that's not gluten.
Regs.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Is that
meat glue?
Meat glue.
All right.
Or is that a form of gluten or not?
It's a form of gluten, so if it has meat glue, you got to avoid it if you have like the severe gluten issues, right?
Can I ask you this? If I don't have a gluten issue, do I avoid these anyway?
No. I mean, if you don't have a severe gluten intolerance or you don't have any type of gluten antibodies, then you don't have to avoid it. If you have an autoimmune condition, the research is staggering, showing that gluten could be a big trigger. There could be a couple other foods that cause it to flare up as well, but there's so many different things that could cause it to flare up physiologically, dietary-wise, and that's why it's so important to really get to the mechanism of why you feel the way you feel, rather than just treating symptoms, right?
Nisha doesn't care if she's having meat glue.
Yes.
If she doesn't. What about oatmeal? What about the oatmeal?
Oatmeal. Oftentimes, oatmeal is made in factories with wheat. And so even though your oatmeal on its own wouldn't contain gluten, but having said that, if it doesn't say gluten-free, avoid oatmeal.
All right, so Red River Health and Wellness, and what do we need to do to call you and come to the consultation,
call for a free consultation. I have a book on Amazon, #1 book on Amazon, The Truth About Low Thyroid.
And you've helped our producer, Megan. You've helped so many people.
Yeah,
and you're educating us today.
It's been great.
Thank you so much.
We have offices in South Jordan and St. George, too. So.
Oh, good. We'll put all the information on our website so you too can feel better. Just get down to the bottom of it. If you need to know if you have a thyroid issue.
Especially now, a lot of symptoms and a lot of patients are going to be struggling because of the holidays and New Year's and all that stuff as well. So.
All right, Dr. Red, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back. More good things Utah ahead.